What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back to the city of Fremont in City Skylines. Um, Once again, I have been taking quite a bit of time off from this series, and at this point, it's probably going to be like that way from now on, unfortunately. There's a lot of things going on in my life at the moment. School, specifically, being a major factor that is limiting the amount of videos that I can upload. But nonetheless, I still try to upload whenever I get the chance. And of course, that chance is right now, as there is a new video that you guys are watching, obviously. And the content of this video, of course, as you can tell by the title, is going to be the city hospital. Now, this hospital is very much inspired by the actual hospital, or not the hospital, there's multiple hospitals, but a hospital that I drive by pretty much every day on my way to school and whatnot, approaching the downtown of Greensboro, which the city of Fremont is somewhat based off of, and that would be the Moses Cone Hospital. Yeah, so that's basically that. Again, it's not an exact replica, but it is heavily inspired. And I would also argue that it's not even fully completed in this episode. I'd say the main hospital complex gets completed in this episode. However, like in real life, it's like a very large complex that has a bunch of other facilities in it that isn't necessarily like the trauma center and whatnot. And then surrounding the hospital is some additional, I guess, like health clinics and whatnot, like chiropractors and laser eye surgery and stuff like that. So basically surrounding the hospital, there's going to be some more office buildings. You see me building those a little bit, like right there off to the side. You can see an office building that I had placed down. And also the parking lot that I was working on at the start of this video. That is the parking lot for that office building and some various other office buildings as well. And I'm really just talking about office buildings. But yeah, I just wanted to put that out there so you guys can get a bit of a general idea as to what is to come in this city. As for what will come in the next video, that is still undecided. Again, as I have previously mentioned before, albeit like it's not really a direct thing, it's just kind of thrown in. These videos are not backlogged. This video is probably being edited, I'd say maybe within 3 days that the upload actually happens, so kind of gives you an idea as to what you're dealing with in terms of the video uploads with me. I really run a kind of tight schedule when it comes to this, but enough about me. Let's get back into what's happening on screen. So right here is a main road. This would be in real life, of course, also a main road. Now in real life it would be a 6-lane road. This one's only 4 lanes. The 6-lane road doesn't really work in with the turn lanes as I would like it to, so I settled for the 4-lane, which, I mean, it does its job because there isn't a whole lot of traffic to deal with in this city, so 4-lane 4-lane road works perfectly fine, so I just went ahead and used that. Also, it comes with the median, so that really was probably a major factor. But as I was trying to say before I decided to go into that little rant, the road didn't really have an intersection, as you saw. It had those little slip lanes, as it does in real life, as to not interfere with traffic as much. Now, there are intersections, of course, with the main road that passes on both sides of the hospital, but I'm going to try and keep the intersections far and wide on this road because, as I had just said, it's a pretty heavily used road. You don't want traffic coming to a stop every like couple 100 feet or so. So yeah, I'm gonna be using those little slip lanes from now on. At least I'll try to put the slip lanes, or at least have a intersection on one side of the road. I'll try and do that from now on for most roads that will intersect with it. And speaking of roads, putting in some road networks that will basically encompass the hospital facility. Now, for some reason, I was, going over all my recorded footage before I did the narration, of course, and I somehow managed to not record me developing the main hospital complex. And by developing, I mean plopping it down and then using Move It to basically put all the pieces into place. Somehow, that didn't really get recorded, so it's just kind of here, already built. But it's nothing really special to worry about. Like, it's basically like 3 or 4 buildings that I put some roads down, plop the building, use Move It, slide them into one another, delete the roads, and I kind of just shoved it off to the side as I work on the final road network. But there's also a lot of cut footage that I actually physically cut, where it's just like me making parking lots, and I'm sure you guys really don't care about me making parking lots. Some of you guys have commented, you say, "Oh, my parking lots look great," which, thank you, I will say. I do take pride in my parking lots. But what I'm trying to say is, like, it's very repetitive, it's very boring, it's boring for me to make, so I'm sure you guys just watching it in a sped up time lapse with me talking over it, that's not very entertaining. So went ahead and cut that out. A lot of boring stuff cut out, and I just tried to fit in the more important things, such as a parking garage. Not quite a parking lot. But yeah, these were interesting because I decided to add a road going into them, as you can see over there. And the way that these roads are all looking all wonky like this, where there's lots of slip lanes and lots of single one-way roads, again, that's also very similar to how it is in real life. The hospital complex is designed so, ambulances or emergency vehicles and whatnot, they can get in and out of the complex or deliver a patient to the infirmary and whatnot without having to deal with traffic. So that's why there's lots of these one-way roads. It's to divert the traffic, in and out as easily and efficiently as possible. Try to minimize intersections and whatnot. And whatever intersections there are, it's a one-way road, so it even minimizes the traffic even more. Wow, that was a mouthful. So basically, what's happening right now, the screen was a bit frozen. Again, that's probably my fault with the editing. Alright, it's fixed now. What's happening right now is I'm putting in a little walkway out in the front of the hospital, using these little corridors. I'm sure there's another term for these, but they're called corridors in the Steam Workshop. So I wanted to call them like gables or something. I don't know. That's probably not the right term, but whatever. The corridors. They basically just cover the walkway. I'd used them previously in the city center park in the downtown area of Fremont, and they just basically they look nice. They don't really provide any shade. I'm sure there would be some vines and some sort of ivy growing along them to provide shade, but I don't really have the ability to do that in this game. I'm sure some people can do it, but me personally, not a huge fan of doing that. It also probably wouldn't look great clipping a bunch of things together. But basically, I'm just putting these down first. I originally had put down the concrete path and I tried to cover it, but that didn't work because basically I would have to Move It and the nodes would be all spaced out and all weird. So I went back and just basically put the concrete down afterwards and then used Move It with the proper, curves and whatnot already set. So the nodes would already be in the proper locations and I didn't have to worry about extra nodes and whatnot. And I could just use Move It to fix the bend of them and straighten it out as best as I could, which, makes the final result look so much better than just being an open field. moving on with what's happening with this build, there's lots of trees, lots of grass that gets put in. I do cut some of that out. There's a lot of stuff that happens off camera, like there was a one-way road that had an overpass originally. I went back and pretty much deleted the overpass. And it was like this weird sort of interchange. It didn't look nice, it took up too much space, so went ahead and took it out, and the final result is so much better. Some of the office complexes that I was talking about earlier, they do interact, what am I saying? They're built pretty much right around that area that I was just talking about, you know, with the overpass and whatnot. So you get a bit of a look as to how that is later on in the video. Pretty much towards the end. But right now, here's that parking lot that I was telling you how I cut footage. There was so much footage of me building this parking lot, and I went ahead and cut it out as best as I could. But right here is a little doctor's office, and again, for the millionth time, this is very similar to the actual hospital in real life. There is a diagonal sort of parking lot built, and then at the top of the parking lot there is a little office. I'm not sure what that office is. A clinic. I don't really know what the clinic is. It's just, I don't know. I was just looking at Google Maps. But whatever it is, it's there in real life. So I decided to go ahead and fill in that empty grass space with a doctor's office right there. And this complex provides so much healthcare to this city. It's way more healthcare than the city needs. There's only like 28,000 people in the city, and this thing can supply like a major metropolitan area. So pretty crazy, but again, this city is nowhere close to being done. So still so much to do, and hopefully I can get it all done before my computer craps out on me trying to load up the city, because let me tell you, the RAM usage is a lot more than I thought it would be. That's probably my fault because I don't have a whole lot of RAM. And also the amount of props that I have. I have excelled the 50,000 prop mark, and I've went ahead and gone around the city and have been ripping up old parking lots and just areas that are covered with tons and tons of props, because Ronix came out with the new ploppable asphalt that have much larger areas to cover. So I'm basically going back to old parking lots, taking out all the asphalt and replacing it with like single, much larger tiles. Also went to the shopping center and have basically completely torn up the parking lot, because the parking lot was not the functional parking, it was the parking decals. And there's so many decals in that parking lot, and decals count as props. So trying to cut back on the prop limit, I'm basically going to rip out all those parking spots and replace them with functioning buildings, and hopefully I won't hit the building limit that the game also has. So, you know, limit everywhere. I mean, it's only so much that the game engine can handle before, you know, everything dies. But basically, this is kind of like towards the end of the hospital build for the hospital itself. Of course, there's more footage that has the office complexes getting built later on in the episode, but right now, as I said would happen, just putting in lots of decoration. You saw me put in those lawn props, which really make the scene look so much more better, more 3D. It kind of looks a bit, unkept, with having such like tall grass, whereas the default grass texture, without any props and whatnot, makes it look more uniform, but it also looks really empty and really soulless, if you would say. So I prefer putting in the lawn props, even if it makes the game lag. I mean, what doesn't make the game lag at this point? But I like the outcome of it. I'm sure you guys will like the outcome too, and that's what this build is all about. It's to please you guys, to make a city that looks really nice, that you guys enjoy, and you know, it's coming out great. It really is. And the support that I'm getting from you guys in the comments and whatnot, I really appreciate it. I really do. But yeah, basically just filling in some extra areas. Went ahead and put a little bit of a, this is a reserved parking lot, so have that little reserve decal to put in right there. You might notice that some of the lines look a bit blurry. That's because I have my textures set to medium, at least for this section of the recording. I think for this section and onward of the recording, I had my settings turned up to, the graphics settings turned up to high. So things will be a lot more crisper, along with the dynamic resolution making everything look crisp. But yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot to talk about for the rest of this episode, really. So I'm gonna cut the commentary early, and I'll leave you guys with some nice music to listen to as you just watch, the rest of this build unfold. Putting in plenty of trees, some office buildings, plenty of parking spaces because you can never get too much parking in America. But yeah, that'll be enough from me. I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to catch you guys in the next video of Fremont. That would be episode 12. I'm trying to go for like 20 parts in this series, so hopefully I can get there. Hopefully I'll have enough content to continue instead of, having to repeat episodes, which I'd never want to do that. I want to keep things fresh. And I guess I'm really sidetracking the ending of this video, but I just want to point out another reason that uploads take so long is that I try to do a little bit of off-camera work, and that off-camera work is really slow and repetitive, especially like making suburbs, because this isn't a major, city, so there's plenty of suburbs right outside the downtown area, and that just takes a lot of time to set up. But when it does get set up, it looks really nice in the end, and I'm just really delaying the ending of my commentary. But again, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope to see you in the next video. Take care.